got to be honest. I don't think anyone actually started a business or been in a business. And my own view is that what the president said was both startling and revealing. I find it extraordinary that a philosophy of that nature would be spoken by a president of the United States. It goes to something I've spoken about from the beginning of the campaign, that this election is to a great degree about the soul of America. Do we believe in an America that is great because of government, or do we believe in an America that's great because of free people allowed to pursue their dreams? For raising taxes higher and higher, because government needs more. What he's saying is his justification for Obamacare, which says we need 2,300 pages of legislation to have government more intrusive in your life. What he's saying is his justification for a larger and larger government. This is very different, by the way, than the Democratic Party of Bill Clinton that said that the era of big government was over, that reformed welfare. You heard that story, by the way. He's trying to take work out of welfare requirement. It is changing the nature of America, changing the nature of what Democrats have fought for and Republicans have fought for. In the past, people of both parties understood that encouraging achievement, encouraging success, encouraging people to lift themselves as high as they can, encouraging entrepreneurs, celebrating success instead of attacking and denigrating makes America strong. That's the right course for this country. Joe got it right. He said something about what would happen if President Obama were to be reelected, and I don't think that's going to happen. But if he were, but if he were reelected, I want you to know that what you've seen for the last 3.5 years, you'd be seeing for the next 4.5 years. And what that means is chronic high levels of unemployment. It means low wage growth to negative wage growth, declining median incomes in this country, and it means putting America on the door to fiscal calamity. We have seen what Obama's political philosophy brings, and we don't want any more of it. I have a very different view than the president's. You see, I happen to believe that the kid that studies hard and works hard and gets an A, that he achieved that, or she achieved that, and I give them credit for doing so. I believe the person who worked hard and did a good job and got a promotion deserves credit for having achieved that. I believe that the young person who came up with a new idea that changed the world on the internet deserves credit for having done that. And by the way, I believe that Joe and people around him and all these businesses I've met around the country that have grown and thrived, I believe that they and the people who worked there built those enterprises. It is their responsibility, their achievement, and they deserve credit for it. Taking more of what people earn by saying, look, it's also our system of government that makes things possible for entrepreneurs and innovators, and that's true. But let's stop and think about the system of government and what it tells us in its founding document, the Declaration of Independence. It does not say that the government gave us our rights, it said that God gave us our rights. and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Our capacity to build and lift ourselves and reach for the stars is not thanks to a government that says fine. It is instead thanks to a God who loves us and gives us those rights and those opportunities. I'm convinced that President Obama's efforts to denigrate and diminish success and individual achievement would diminish us all. And that's one reason why he's not going to get reelected. I'll tell you this. I'm convinced he wants Americans to be ashamed of success. I want Americans to welcome and to celebrate success and to encourage people to reach as high as they can, and in some cases to build enterprises. I don't want government to take credit for what the individuals of America accomplish, whether they work in government or work in the private sector. It's the people of America that make America the unique nation, the exceptional nation. Philosophy and an approach as a nation which celebrates risk takers and celebrates achievement and says go out there and do whatever you can and welcomes dreamers from all over the world, that will make us more prosperous and create more jobs. We know what his philosophy brings. We've seen it the last 3.5 years. We've seen the numbers. We've seen the suffering. His philosophy of big government intrusive in our lives, higher taxes keeps us from achieving what we can achieve. I've got 5 steps to get this economy going again. 5 things I'm going to do. And I want you to know those 5 things. If we do them, and I'll do them, if we do them, these things are going to cause a resurgence in America's economy that's going to surprise the world, is going to convince moms and dads that the future's brighter for them and the future's brighter for their kids. And I'll tell you what those 5 things are. Number 1, I want to take advantage of our oil and our gas and our coal. Another one, and that is one that this president has really not pursued, and that is trade. You see, we're a highly productive nation. We make more goods and services per person than any other major nation in the world, and so it helps us to trade with other nations. By the way, China and Europe figured that out. Over the last 4 years, 3.5 years rather, they put together some 44 different trade agreements with other nations to sell goods back and forth because they know that helps them. Do you know how many this president's put in place? 0. 0. If I'm president, I want to open up new trade with places, particularly in Latin America, right next door. A lot of people, a growing middle class, huge opportunity for us. So that's my number 2 is trade. Number 3, when you have a government that consistently borrows massively more than it takes in, and you create larger and larger debt, as that debt gets so large relative to the size of the total economy, you slow down economic growth. Slow growth means fewer jobs. And that is why, as President of the United States, I will get America on track to have a balanced budget. So number 1, energy. Number 2, trade. Number 3, a balanced budget. Let me mention another one. I want to make sure our people have the skills for the jobs of today and tomorrow. And I'm not going to thank government for giving them those skills. I'm going to make sure that people have the opportunity to reach for those capabilities. I want people to have good training opportunities in the workplace and in our colleges and universities. I also want people to get the best schools in the world. We're not providing our kids the education they need. I want them to have more choice in education. I will put our kids first and our unions behind. Give the kids. And my fifth, in addition to skills and education, my 5th is this. I want to encourage economic freedom. Our economy is driven by free people pursuing their ideas and their dreams. It is not driven by government. And what the president's doing is crushing economic freedom. This philosophy of his leads to him saying we're going to take the tax on investment from 15% to 25%. So government's bigger. I want people to be freer. That's why, in my view, anybody making $250,000 a year and less should pay no tax on capital gains, interest, or dividends at all. Crushing economic freedom with taxes and an overwhelming regulatory burden, with high cost in health care, with labor rules that are not favorable to the employee or to the employer, but only to the bosses of the unions. Look, we have to restore economic freedom in this country, and when we do, those 5 things, energy, trade, balancing our budget, improving our schools, giving people the skills they need, and restoring economic freedom in a major way. We do those things, you're going to see us come roaring back. I have seen it in the people of America. I've witnessed it as I've gone across the campaign trail. I was in San Diego and met with a guy named Alex Lukianov, Russian immigrant. Came over here, had some back problems, looked at how we do surgery, and had some ideas about how to come up with something better. He had this idea of, instead of operating by going into the middle of your backbone, he goes in from the side, and he puts in a little device to fuse the back vertebra. I'm getting complicated here, but the long story short is he starts a business, trains doctors in how to provide this surgery, sells them the device that they put in their back, and by the way, now he has 1,300 employees working in that business and $900 million in revenue. And Mr. President, Mr. Lukianov and the other founders and the workers there built that business. Government did not build that business. I met a guy named Jim Leotode, and Jim didn't do real well in school. He graduated second from the bottom in his class in high school, and his dad said to him, either go into the military or to college. And college didn't look like it was the right place for him, and he wanted to do something different, and so he asked his dad if he could get a loan to start a business. He wanted to start a restaurant. He wanted to make hot dogs and hamburgers, I believe, and his dad gave him a loan, but when he got the money, he realized there's not enough money here to actually start a restaurant that has the cooking grills for hot dogs and hamburgers and the big hoods that vent the smoke and so forth. So all he could do with the money he had was to make sandwiches. So went into a garage, made sandwiches, and then delivered the sandwiches to people at work. Today, Jim Leotode, or you know him better as Jimmy John, has 1,200 restaurants and employs tens of thousands of people. And you see, I happen to believe that Jim Leotode, Jimmy John, built that business with the help of people around him, his friends, the people who work there in that enterprise. I do not give government credit for having built that. I give free people credit for having built that. And so when I see that entrepreneurial spirit and that innovativeness of the American people and our willingness to work hard in whatever role we have, and to lift and to improve our lot and to improve the lot of the enterprises we work in, I see that as driving this economy to be the most powerful in the history of the earth. It has already, it will again. The course we're on right now is foreign to us. It changes America. This is a vote for what kind of America we're going to have. And for me, I vote for freedom and free people.